Does exercise really affect your hormone balance? Yes, and today we'll talk about certain types of exercises that can alter your hormone balance, can help it, can hurt it, and we'll give tips on the best kinds of exercise mixes or the best kind of program to help optimize your hormone balance. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Meyer and welcome to my channel. On this channel we talk about hormone balance, gut health, and gene health and how they can all come together to help you thrive. So if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel. I post videos every Thursday related to gut health, hormone health, and gene health. And I'm a registered dietitian, family doctor, functional medicine doctor, and I have my own functional medicine practice in Denver, Colorado. So today let's talk about hormones and exercise. So which hormones are affected by exercise? Well, they all are really, but if we have a lack of exercise, meaning not enough strengthening going on, so not enough strength training or resistance exercise, then we can have a low testosterone. We can also sometimes have too much fat when we don't exercise enough, and whenever there's excess fat, like I've talked about in some of my other videos, we can have excess estrogen and then all the effects that come with excess estrogen or estrogen dominance. So I'll link my video on that so you can learn more about that in particular. And then cortisol is affected by exercise. So if we're excessively exercising, our cortisol can spike way up. Now, anytime we exercise, our cortisol goes up. So I'm not saying not to exercise if you have high cortisol, because you do need to exercise, but there's potentially some different ways to exercise that would be more beneficial. And also, if we exercise too much, our progesterone can be too low. Like for women, they can miss their periods and not have the greatest like fertility kind of profile if they're exercising too much. So you can see how much exercise interplays with or interacts with hormone balance. So let's talk about the best kind of way to exercise to support your hormones. So let's look at some different mixes of the different types of exercise. So one thing we're going to talk about today is HIIT training, high intensity interval training. So that means you're going all out, 100% intensity on your exercise, and then in short bursts, and then you're recovering at a slower pace, and then you're going back to the short bursts of intense exercise. This has been kind of revolutionary in the fitness industry because in general, because you don't have to exercise for as long. We used to think, you have to go out for a long run or do an intensive long exercise session. And actually that's more harmful to our hormones than these interval trainings are. So we don't want to overdo the interval trainings. I'm only recommending like 2 or 3 times a week, but they're shorter courses, like 15 to 20 to 30 minutes at max for HIIT training. And they work kind of all the muscle groups. It's like circuit training, but you're doing the intervals with it. And then I'll show some examples of HIIT training, like a link here. It creates a higher need for oxygen, and then with that oxygen shortage, we then burn more calories and more fat even after we're finished with the exercise. So it really is good for metabolism. And then there's strength training, and what we mean by strength training is weight training using props. Using even something as small as this can help build your bone density, help develop your muscles, and help lower your fat. So then raise your testosterone. Of course, if this is too light for you, you're going to want to increase. But this is a set that I keep at work, and I just do short little courses of some strength training to get up from my desk for a few minutes every hour if I haven't gotten up that hour, because a lot of times we can be stuck at our desks. And then strength training can be as simple as just a resistance band. There are some resistance band exercises you can use. You can use body weight, push-ups, dips, things like that. Squats are all resistance training. There's all kinds of accessories, Bosu ball, the Swiss balls. So strength training we need for building our muscle, reducing our fat, and also strengthening our bones. So if you have osteopenia or softening of the bones, not softening, but like deterioration of the bones leading towards osteoporosis, and especially if you have osteoporosis, you're going to want to do some strength training. And then the other kind of type we're going to talk about is cardiovascular exercise. So I think most of you probably know what that is, but it's walking, running, swimming, biking, aerobics kind of classes or exercise, anything like that that gets the heart rate up is cardiovascular training type exercise. And that's really good for fat loss and strengthening your heart, lessening your risk for chronic disease, helping your cortisol usually, unless you're doing extended kind of cardio workouts like marathon training. I'm training for a half marathon right now, and I've done it before, but it seems as I get older, into my 40s, well into my 40s now, that my cortisol tends to go up like it should when I exercise longer, but it just has more of an effect on my weight than it used to. So it's interesting, my weight will go up when I start doing longer runs. So I have to work really hard to kind of give my body the message that we're not running from a tiger, calm down. So I do a lot of kind of self-care stuff on my long runs on Sundays so that I recover. And then my runs during the week are a little bit shorter. But everybody's different, so that might not happen to you. But if you've been diagnosed with high cortisol, you may want to ease your way into exercise, especially with cardiovascular exercise, and not do long endurance exercises. Or if you do, incorporate, like if you're running, incorporate walking. So 2 minutes of running, 1 minute of walking. Or if you're doing high intensity training, do it for a shorter amount of time. Strength training, do it slow and steady. So things like that, just listen to your body is the most important thing with exercise. So let's talk about maybe an ideal weekly workout plan to help optimize your hormones. So we want that muscle building to go on, we want that cardiovascular in there, and we want that interval training. So what I recommend is doing the HIIT training 2 to 3 times a week for 15 to 20 minutes or a maximum of 30 minutes. I recommend doing strength training 2 to 3 times a week, working the whole body, and doing that for like 30 to 45 minutes 2 to 3 times a week. And then I recommend doing cardiovascular exercise 4 to 5 times a week, giving yourself a couple days off from that. And you can combine on the days, if you don't have enough days to exercise, is what I'm talking about, you can combine the HIIT training and the strength training if your body feels okay with that. And then with the cardiovascular exercise, you want to just make sure your heart is ready for that. So check with your provider, or with any of the exercises, check with your provider. And then, like I said, ease your way in slowly. If you have high cortisol and it's making you more anxious, or the weight gain is happening, kind of take that slower or more interval approach like I talked about. If you have low cortisol, you may not be able to tolerate exercise. You may have a lot of exercise fatigue. So you're going to want to do short bursts, small amounts, build your way up from 5 minutes a day, and just try to ease your way into it and give yourself the recovery time that you need. And when you're doing this mix, I forgot to talk about stretching. I would recommend stretching 5-10 minutes every day and doing some deep breathing, doing that 4-7-8 breathing while you're stretching. And that will help balance the mind and the cortisol and the stress hormones, as well as kind of lengthen the muscles and help them recover better. So breathe in for 4, you hold for 7, and you exhale for 8. And you just keep doing rounds of that while you're stretching. If you're not one to be stretching every day, I do recommend you do it before exercise anyway. But if you're not doing that as much as every day, then yoga is great, of course. And yoga could fit into this whole hormone balancing protocol. And it should fit in, really, if you have the time to do 1 or 2 yoga classes a week. Now, you may have to nudge out something else, maybe one of the HIIT exercises, maybe one of the strength training series of exercises, but play around with what works best for you. But it's definitely a cortisol balancing exercise for sure, yoga or Pilates. So work on recovery. Also make sure you're getting enough sleep, 7 to 8 hours of sleep, that you're getting adequate fruits and vegetables and protein and fiber. And lots of my other videos talk about this, so you can get more by looking at my playlist. And then, like I said, go in gradually if you're not used to exercising and your hormones have been imbalanced for a while. And I was a personal trainer before, so I do have training in this, as well as my medical training and my nutrition training. So I'm Dr. Shelley Meyer. Thanks for joining me today. I post every Thursday videos on gut health, hormone health, and gene health. So please subscribe if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend or a family member, a new channel. So I really appreciate any shares, likes, subscribers. I love them. I hope for more of you soon. And thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you next Thursday.